This is a short demo of the updated version of my plotting app that's included as part of my package RTutor. This updated version incorporates a set of additional features and functionalities that you can use to fine-tune the plots that you generate using the app. So let's load the RTutor package. We'll also load the ggplot2 package because we will be using the diamonds dataset from this. We'll extract a small subset of the diamonds dataset and then use the launch_plotter function to launch the app. Let's directly move on to build a plot section. The dataset is selected here, so let's move on to this tab where we can set the variables and the plot type. Let's start off by looking at the distribution of the diamond's price for each cut of the diamond. By default, a box plot is generated. So now let's move on to the third tab where we can alter the plot aesthetics. Let's select this checkbox to bring up the access controls. Now let's start off by manually changing the color of this box plot. Right, so to change this, we select on the manually change fill control, and you can see that a color picker comes up. Now this is one change compared to the previous version where you had a drop down for this. Now this color picker comes from the Shiny.js package, and it provides a much more convenient and an intuitive way to select a color of your choice. Right, so you could pick up any color that interests you. And you would also see that the underlying code gets displayed here, and the underlying code would also display the hex code of the color that you have selected. But let's reset this, and instead of manually setting the aesthetics, let's map the fill to the cut of the diamond. Right, so we'll get this plot, and now let's move on to the last tab, and this is where most of the changes have happened in this version. So in the previous version you could only update the plot theme and set a plot title, but in this version you have all these additional features that have been added. Let's anyway start off by changing the theme. We'll use the Wall Street Journal theme from the GG themes package, and let's open up the access controls. Now what this feature helps you do is to manually adjust the access range, and this feature can be useful if there are outliers in your data that you would like to exclude, or if there are specific sections of the plot that you would like to zoom into. For this to work, we will select this checkbox, and now you can adjust the slider to change the access range, and you can see that while we do this, the length of the tails gets reduced, and in effect the plot kind of zooms out. Also the slider access range is dynamic, the min and the max value of this slider, and it's based on the selected variable. If we uncheck this, it defaults back to the default access range. Of course, the second way of doing it would be to make the plot interactive by clicking on this checkbox. Now this converts this into a plot ly plot, and once we do this, we can then zoom in on a specific section. Right, so that would be the other way of doing it. But let's convert this back to a ggplot. Let's also check this, so that we get this access range. And let's look at one other feature that we have. Right, so when we map a color or a fill attribute to a variable, by default ggplot2 would assign a specific color to each level of that variable. Now if you are not happy with these default coloring scheme, there are various different options that are provided to modify or to change this coloring scheme. The plotting app currently uses the Brewer scale, and the Brewer scale provides more than 30 different color palettes to choose from. These color palettes are divided into 3 different schemes: sequential, qualitative, and diverging. You would typically use sequential and diverging if there is some sort of an ordering in your factor levels. For example, if you look at some of the sequential color, you can see that there is a sort of a color gradient. If you select qualitative scheme, these are distinct colors. Right, so that's there. And finally, if you select the diverging scheme, it kind of highlights the lowest and the highest value in your factor level if there is some sort of an ordering in it. For example, if you select this, you can see that the first and the last values are highlighted. So let's kind of finalize on this, and let's look at one other feature, which is creating a facet plot. Now this is a very useful feature in ggplot, and what facets essentially does is to subset your data on one or more variables and create a plot on each subset of that data. Now this version of the app only lets you subset on one variable. So let's create a faceting variable. Let's try to let's select clarity. So now you will see that a similar box plot is generated for each clarity type of the diamond. Finally, this is a bit cluttered. So if you would like a more enlarged or a zoomed version of this plot, you can click here and you can see the same plot in an enlarged view. Let's anyway go back to this. Let's reset all the controls that we have set. Let's go back to aesthetics and let's reset this as well. And now let's construct a different plot. This time let's construct a plot with two different levels. We would like to analyze the relationship between the diamond's carat and its price. So we will select these variables. We will select geom point for the first layer and a smoothing curve for the second. We will next move on to this tab and let's bring up the controls for layer 1. Let's color the scatter plot as per the price. So now you can see that there is the points have been colored depending on the value of the price. Let's make the color the scatter plot more prominent by changing the size. Let's hide this control and let's open up layer 2 controls. I think the only change we will do in layer 2 is to change the color of the smoothing line to kind of make it stand out. So let's color it red and let's change the size of the line. Now let's hide this and let's go back to the last tab. Let's change the theme. Let's use the Google Docs theme from GG Themes. And now let's change the color scheme. Now if you see the scatter plot, they have been colored as per the value of price, which is a continuous variable. So to change this default coloring scheme, we have to select this option. Now this here we can specify two arguments. We can specify a low color and a high color, right? So for example, if you want the price color to vary from yellow for low values and to red for high values of price, we select this. Let's select some shade of yellow for this, and let's select some shade of red for this. You can see now the coloring scheme changes. Finally, as before, let's say facet this as per the cut of the diamond. And if you would like a zoomed version of this, we will click here and you can see this. Hope this is useful. Thank you.